broke. Oh. I'll fix it later. You guys like this bell? Oh man, I'm gonna keep it right here. Actually, this is my bell. It's called David. It's David. He's the greatest bell in the history of mankind, outside of Ronnie Bell. That is. David Bell did exactly what Ronnie Bell would have done to Michigan State if he was healthy, and if Jim Harbaugh would have thrown the ball a lot the way Purdue did. I'm obviously very excited. This is hilarious to me. 1 week after Michigan State was running their yappers, all the fans were talking to me in the comments. Blah 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 blah. Some of them couldn't take a joke. I ate crow. I did everything I was supposed to do. I painted my face. I reran the bet in general at the beginning of that video. I ate crow like a real man's supposed to, like somebody fun doing this channel is supposed to, and you guys still took it offensively. It's ridiculous. You take everything offensively. Sometimes you guys are just a little bit too much of babies, which is why we call you little brother, and we'll always call you little brother. It is such a little brother move to 1 week after running your yappers and Xavier Henderson just japping his jaws to get absolutely obliterated by Purdue. You were 3-point favorites and you lost by 11 at Purdue. And Purdue has a habit of doing this, so it's impressive. And I'm not taking anything away from you. I'm just playing around with you to an extent. Some of you guys that get really offended, then yeah, I really am kind of being serious with you. But most of you guys that can take a joke, I'm just taking a jab at you. And you gave Michigan a great scenario here. We're back in it. We can beat Penn State this week if we can, and we're right back in it. You got to beat Ohio State, obviously, to control your own destiny, but you gave us a little bit of breathing room that we so desperately needed. I had Purdue winning this game coming into the week, and I just felt like it was a tough matchup. They know how to throw the ball. They saw everything that Michigan did right the week before. They saw everything Michigan did wrong the week before, and they really, really utilized it. I have faith in Jeff Brohm, and I had faith for a reason, because he did exactly what he was supposed to do. You know, last week when Michigan lost to Michigan State the way they did, everybody said, how can you keep crying about Michigan not passing the ball more? They passed the ball 40-something times. I said, who cares? It should have been 50-something times. And people think that's crazy. I would imagine those people that said that are in their 40s, 50s, whatever. I'm not making fun of people's ages. I'm just saying you live in a primitive stage of college football. College football is not that anymore. People defended Harbaugh when he would run the ball and we'd get 400 yards on the ground, 300 yards on the ground. You would say, well, why would we pass the ball if that's what's working, okay? So, take the same logic. Why did Michigan not continue to just go pass heavy over and over again? I even saw one person say, this guy doesn't know college football. You got to establish some kind of run. You don't really. You don't. I mean, not when you're able to pass that easily and with that much efficiency. Man, I'm telling you, Michigan State secondary is horrid. Horrid. The only shot they have against Ohio State is going to be with Kenneth Walker III, who I'm going to apologize for that. Kenneth Walker III, I wasn't favorable of his schedule up to the Michigan game. I felt like it was a very weak schedule, so I didn't know what he actually was. I knew he was great. I knew he was among one of the best running backs in the nation, one of the best players in the nation, and I knew he was deserving to be in the Heisman candidacy talk. But I really felt like he had a weak schedule, and Michigan absolutely bailed him out. You know, their cornerbacks, their secondary, their linebackers got sucked in over and over again, and he bounced it outside, and they did not keep contained the way they were supposed to, and they had bad substitution issues and everything else. I felt like Michigan did a lot wrong, and Kenneth Walker and Michigan State just took advantage of that. But really, honestly, this game against Purdue, it wasn't necessarily Kenneth Walker's best statistical game, but from what I saw and what I've seen of him this season, it was probably one of his best vision games. Man, he made some excellent cuts. Sometimes he would make the wrong move, but a lot of times he made some excellent cuts, turned nothing into something, and really, really kept his team in there. You know, he had that fumble on the first drive, but outside of that, man, he was spectacular as always, and Kenneth Walker is very deserving of Heisman candidacy talk. I'm still along the camp that I don't know. There's still weeks to be played, 3 weeks indeed. Penn State's defense is very good against the run. They're very good in general, so it's going to be difficult on that day. And Ohio State, while they've had their susceptibility in the secondary, so against the pass for Payton Thorne and against the run at moments for Kenneth Walker's sake, I just kind of trust Ohio State's coaches more than I would Michigan's, to be honest with you. So I think they're going to come up with a game plan knowing that really That's the majority of what they have to do, is at least kind of limit Kenneth Walker III. He had 136 yards on 22 carries, 6.2 yards per carry, and 33 was his long. I thought Payton Thorne played pretty well too, honestly. He was 20 for 30, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He wasn't spectacular, but he was definitely... I feel like the offense of Michigan State is pretty decent this season. With Kenneth Walker, it really opens a lot of things for Payton Thorne, and when Payton Thorne needs to put something on a rope, he seems to be able to do that. The problem's going to be the defense. I just don't see how you're going to stop the receivers for Ohio State, and I don't see how we're going to either, just so we're clear. But I don't see how you're going to stop the receivers for Ohio State. Purdue passed the ball, like I said, 54 times, which is exactly what Michigan should have done. They had 536 passing yards. They could not run to save their life, only 58 yards off of 31 attempts. And even then, same story. I think they should have maybe thought about not running the ball as much as they did. It ate up clock, yes, but I don't know how badly you need to eat up clock when you score 40 points. You know what I'm saying? Like, how badly do you need to eat up clock? They could have scored another touchdown and really put it out of harm's way just by continuing to pass the ball. David Bell was outrageous in this game. He's one of the best receivers in the Big Ten, bar none, really one of the best receivers in the nation. And he's had games like this already before, and you knew he was going to have it against Michigan State. Maybe not to this effect, but you knew he was going to have a really good day. That was clear and apparent. He ended up, of course, with 11 catches for 217 yards. Anthrop had a nice quiet game, 6 catches for 80 yards. Miller, the tight end, 8 catches for 74. And they were just nice and steady. Again, couldn't establish the run, but did everything else right, and really just made Michigan State play catch-up the whole game, which really limited Kenneth Walker's ability to get going, because they had to get to a point where, yes, Kenneth Walker can catch the ball out of the backfield and do damage there, but they really couldn't just stick with the run game because clock was starting to be eaten up. It started to get late into the third quarter, into the fourth quarter, and they still found themselves down. So Purdue just outscored Michigan State and outplayed them. Didn't have as many penalties. Michigan State had 6 penalties for 70 yards. They had that targeting. I can't remember what happened with that. I can't remember if he got ejected or not after that. They had 35 minutes of total possession compared to Michigan State's 24. They really took advantage of everything in this game. It was amazing. It was great to see, and I'm not that shocked. 2 turnovers for Michigan State, 1 turnover for Purdue. And lastly, third down efficiency was very important. 11 for 18 was Purdue. It felt like there were a lot of 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 4s, 3rd and somewhat manageables, and it felt like Purdue was picking them up more often than not because of their the ability of the receivers to get open. And sometimes they would spin off the move. I think it was Wright late in the game who caught the ball, spun out, got the first down. Great play there. Michigan State, on top of all the bad coverage in the secondary, man, there were so many missed tackles. It looked a lot like Michigan last week against Michigan State. There were a lot of missed tackles, and they ended up being huge plays. The trick play, which was a ridiculous trick play, I didn't know how that was going to turn out. How many missed tackles or even opportunities at the ball were there on that one? Michigan State's defense is just not good. It makes me feel a little bit worse, honestly, after watching that to some extent, that Michigan was allowed them to climb back into the game and eventually win it. But as I said last week, we should have just kept throwing the ball. We would have hammered it home and would have won the game, more than likely, because that Michigan State defense, they cannot stop anybody to save their lives. Their secondary are just pissing down their pants. They're scared as hell back there, and they're going to be even worse off when they have to play Jahan Dotson and the receivers that are... Ohio State's receivers in Olave and Garrett Wilson, or the other way around, are supposed to go 1 and 2 as far as receivers go, and Jackson Smith and Jigba is just an absolute stud. They're gonna throw all over that team, so you better hope that Kenneth Walker has an answer and that he can run for 250 plus. Well, maybe 230 plus. That would maybe keep them in the game at the very least. But now here we are. Big Ten East really shaping up. You got Michigan State with a loss. You got Michigan with a loss. You got Ohio State with an out-of-conference loss. It's going to come down to really a lot down the stretch. It feels so crazy because it's 3 games left, but just so much can happen because all 3 of those teams have to play each other, and Penn State is in the mix for all 3 of those teams outside of Ohio State. So it's going to be very interesting. I think this Michigan-Penn State game this week is going to tell a lot. If we lose, we're obviously out of it, and this channel is going to be kind of sad and morbid for the last couple weeks because we got nothing else to play for, and it'll be the fire Jim Harbaugh train all over again, left and right every single day. But if we win, wow, we just made things very, very interesting. And that Ohio State-Michigan State game is going to be pivotal, huge, ginormous to set up that last week of the season where Michigan plays Ohio State, Michigan State plays Penn State. Both games could be excellent games. We'll see what happens. The race is anyone's to win as far as those three teams are concerned. So it's going to be great, man. It's going to be great, and I hope you guys are here for it on the channel. Again, to you Michigan State fans that are taking this stuff a little too seriously, some of you are, some of you aren't. To the ones that aren't and understand I'm playing around, guys, have y'all not watched my channel enough? I make fun of this team. Oh, left and right, I make fun of my own team, and the fans get mad at me about it. I jab at my own team just as much as I jab at Michigan State and Ohio State. So come on, guys, I'm being fair. I'm being fair. I'm being fair. I'm having fun. I'm hanging out with my Bell here. David Bell, Ronnie Bell, it doesn't matter. All Bells are great. Ding, ding, ding. You lost, Michigan State. You tell us all the time, the pride comes before the fall. Have a great night. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, you're probably going to like the videos that are on your screen right now. One is the Michigan State reaction from last week when both teams were 7-0, headed into battle. And the other one is the Michigan State reaction from last season when we were 24.5 point favorites and still found a way to lose. Hope you guys enjoy it.